Alright, this is take two because of a phone call. Yeah, so today I trimmed my mustache. Probably gonna have to shave the beard in the course of the job hunt, which is a darn shame. It's getting pretty good. So yeah, yesterday I was going to do the brake caliper on my wife's truck. We did the passenger side rear several days ago and realized I was going to put the pads on the driver's side and realized that there was some, what you call it, ridging or whatever on the brake discs, the disc on that side. So that made me realize that I was going to have to replace that caliper. And so then I ended up getting, the caliper and forgot to get the disc. So then I went back to town and got the disc. By the time I got back from town for that, I realized the wife's truck's front right tire had a leak and was going flat. And so had everything I needed to do the brakes, but I was going to have to fix this tire in some way or another before I could even jack up the other side, because otherwise you're just, leaning the truck on a flat tire. It's really not cool. Not stable at all. So then the frost started coming on pretty hard, and my hands were hurting from the cold, so I was like, you know what, I'm not doing it. And I came in and I was like, baby, it's cold outside, which is stupid and ironic. And so anyways, then I waited until today, and today I got out, and it took 3 plugs to fill these little, I don't know what the hell she drove over. So I had to plug the thing up. The tread was so low, I knew it was just going to go flat again anyway. I was going to find another rock really quick. But I had enough, it would hold air so I could put the truck up and do the brakes on the other side. So at this point, it starts to get foggy and drizzly. I'm an outdoor mechanic. I don't have a facility in which to do it, so I just did it in my driveway. And so then it's getting almost to the point of raining. And I finally got everything on and was bleeding it and getting it ready. And the wife's like, I got to go to town and get the kids. And so I was like, sorry, you can drive my truck or you could be 5 or 10 minutes late. But I also don't know how good this tire is. We really just need to get a new tire. So and she drives my truck, old reliable, the one that never breaks down or has issues because it's a Ford. And so I got her brakes bled and the tire on, and I went to town and got a new tire for the one that was flat, and then I went and got the core returned on the second caliper because I'd returned the other core yesterday, and I found a power steering pump pulley remover / installer toolkit that I had rented. That's like $75 sitting in my garage. So I got that and turned it into. So I got shit canned from my job. I'm not too upset about it. I mean, the money part sucks, but the company is motherfucking evil. Gives me time to do things with ease, like fix my wife's truck up, or if there's something that's going to need fixed on mine, or see to things at the house. Because I've really not had time to do anything with the sleeping and working. It legit was like, I'm going to sleep for 12 hours, and I'm going to work for 10 or 11 hours, and I'm going to be up for like an hour without being at either. Like, that's all the free time I had. That's bullshit. So anyways, thankfully did not have any issues with the automotive repairs. Sometimes it's like a battle, and today I won that battle easily. Watched all of that outlandish debate with H.A. Goodman and Jordan Sather. I'll admit, neither of them really composed themselves properly. H.A. did let himself get riled up a few times, which I think was Jordan's point. He was just trying to fuck with him. But yeah, totally. The main leader representative of the Disclosure and Truth movement was not able to present a single fact. Most of the questions he deflected. The logical fallacy count, it's uncountable. You might as well just develop a sauce called logical fallacy and just fucking put that shit on the whole thing, because it was not the fucking sauce of the nice gravy that you get from facts and evidence and actual logic and reasoning. H.A. busted out the critical thinking, though. That guy is really good at critical thinking most of the time. I don't know that... See, the thing is if you've watched H.A. Goodman for long enough, you know that his whole entire style has to do with countering the mainstream media propaganda, because he used to be on mainstream media until they basically began, he started keying into things that, cats can tell, they can just tell. I'm trying to make a cigarette here. He got keyed into some things truth-wise, and no longer on any of the mainstream outlets, so that's the point where his, my name is H.A. Goodman, I'm an author, columnist, and journalist, blah, 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 Jerusalem Times, The Hill. He started to, here, this is what I'm doing. He started to, turn into a conservative. The liberal media got rid of him pretty quick, but, yeah, he had been talking about this before. All these things he legit had. You can go back and search any of it. That guy was on it. He did, in fact, successfully predict that Bernie Sanders would be the only Democratic candidate that could defeat Donald Trump. And he also caught on to, let's see, what was it? I think he refused. Oh yeah, that's right. He refused to get into. The. I made that. He refused to get into the big screw job with the DNC primary. It was like they made this decision and it was a bad strategy. No. It was a fucking fix, man. It was a fucking fix. And he never admitted that. That was why I unsubscribed to him at the time, is because he never admitted it was a fix. And then, of course, eventually it came out that Bernie was in on it. It wasn't even just that Bernie got screwed. Bernie was part of the screw. I'll admit that I was into it at the time, not because I was into socialism, but because I didn't like either of the other candidates or anybody else. Gary Johnson was not qualified to be a president. Honestly, Jill Stein, I don't think she understands how the system really works. And I'm not saying that in a sexist way. It would be great to have her be the first female president, but she wouldn't have accomplished anything. We now know why Bernie wouldn't get on with the Green New Deal. So, anyways, aside from that, though, HA has really been on point as far as Clinton's crimes. But the thing is like I was saying, if you watched his channel for long enough, you know that he always has these headlines that are almost deceptive. And by that, what I mean is that you will have statements about what he wants to happen, the imminent arrests and all of that business. But what would happen is he would be like, Hillary Clinton is going to be indicted as soon as the so-and-so does whatever possible. And it's like a newspaper headline kind of thing, because they do that. Sometimes they do that. When they don't have a good way of putting it, they will be like, man walks down street with machine gun mowing down pedestrians, allegedly. And they have it in a way that it says, man walks down street shooting at pedestrians, allegedly. Like, it's a propagandistic, deceptive newspaper technique. And so the reason I recognize this, but I understand it, that what he was doing was he was doing the exact same thing. He was trying to catch people with the exact same susceptibility. Although the thing is that I don't think he realized that there was a full-on PSYOP, controlled opposition program getting ready to go for the Republicans too. Because if it wasn't just a wire fraud scam, that's all it can be, and that means that there's nothing fucking trustworthy about it. It's propaganda, pure and simple. You can't believe propaganda. It's propaganda. So the thing is that he would start making these videos that were about how he believed that Trump dreamed of Hillary being locked up. And it's like, I don't think Trump was concerning himself with it like that at all. And I know I was at the time that he was really big into that, I was following Q too, and Q was saying the same thing. But let's be honest, the people that post Q were probably just watching H.A. Goodman. Just saying. So to have one of the sources of the conjecture that Q foisted as government secret truth fact, and then 100% backtrack on whether they actually said that, which is some bullshit. Having one of those sources confront one of the prime purveyors I thought that was pretty monumental in itself. And of course, the fact that Sather even showed up. All of those guys are notorious for being like, yeah, bro, fucking meet me out by the fucking slide. I'll kick your ass after school. And then you get there and nobody else is there because they weren't showing up to begin with. That's how that goes. Internet blood sports, right? Fight Club. Oh, wait, we don't talk about that. So, there's all of this, and I don't know. Call me crazy, but if my brake repairs are any indication, I believe the QAnon is going to falter soon. I think it's not a matter of they're going to let it go. It's people are going to stop believing it. But here's the problem. Don't ever forget that this shit happened when Obama was first elected too. And it ran for a couple of years before they just kind of fell off and stopped talking about it and acted like anybody that thought it was even happening was crazy. Like people that were part of the movement, part of the limited hangout crew that are like shepherding the idiots or whatever, they turned on us. Because I was into that. I remember reading Obama's tweets and thinking that there was going to be fucking mass arrests coming soon. Because old David Lilcock and Corey Bad and all those guys were B-A-A-D-E. That's how you spell his name. Bad. They were involved in that back then too. And the whole mass arrests are imminent and the fucking disclosure, all that shit. And there was a fucking ascension protocol at the same time. I've explored higher dimensional thinking and existence. Most of my friends tell me, they're like, dude, you exist on a different plane. Your body's just near us. And I'll tell you flat out, man, 8th dimensional involves being able to navigate and or manipulate causality. That's what it is. 5th dimensional means you can perceive multiple probabilities and you might be able to figure out causality, but you can't see it. You can only intuit or deduce it. If you get into the 6th or 7th dimensions, you gain the ability to actually perceive and possibly have some self-navigation through causality. But it isn't until that 8th dimensional level that there is actual ability to affect causality. So all these people saying the 5D and we're going 5, that's a fucking alternate reality game. I'm telling you that shit. Because they would be showing you how to get actual ascension to higher levels of actual, perception of what is true, what is there, what is going to happen, and how. Because that is possible. There is a way to get that viewpoint. So, anyways, I'm going to cut it short. We're getting on 13 minutes here. It was a very interesting day. I was very entertained by that thing, and I listened to Unirock talk shit about it the whole time. It was fucking great. I had a good time while I was fixing the brakes on the vehicle. And, yeah, so that's the current situation. The sit rep. But don't just think that I'm some asshole that wants to aggravate people that claim to be helping or doing good or whatever. These people aren't helping. They aren't doing good. They're fleecing people, either for their own bizarre, ego needs or for money. They're fleecing people. So, don't forget. I really was booted from the DTI group on Facebook simply for daring to disagree with the great leader on matters of logic, on matters of fact. In the so-called truth community. This is why Mr. Chinada says twoof. We can't spell it like truth. We have to make fun of the word truth when we refer to the people in the so-called truth community, because it's TROOTH or TWOOTH or TROOF. It's got to be something other than TRUTH, which is the true, actual, correct spelling, because these motherfuckers aren't interested in what is true. So, don't forget, I was actually involved. Like, I've still got half of the limited hangout on my friends list on Facebook. Those people still talk to me. The ones that go about posting shit and they know that what they're posting is bullshit, but they play dumb. I'm still interacting with them. Some of them are actually probably coming around because they're realizing they were used. They weren't paid for what they did. Marx had a name for that. The French had a name for that back in the day, when real fascism was doing its thing and not this weird inverted totalitarian shit. So anyways, yeah. my 8D view says that things are eventually going to change, and I don't know. Last quick note, because we're pushing another 2 minutes since I said I was going to stop. I also have been watching that Tom Fitton testimony before Congress, and Congress is a fucking joke. These committees are not interested in truth, and they're not going to get anything anywhere. And you notice that while this was going on in the actual way that things are going to be, the deflation of hope on the congressional testimonies was the same time that H.A. and Jordan decided to throw mud and water balloons full of piss at each other. You know, take that into account. Cui bono, right? First and foremost, the first question you ask, who benefits? This is called critical thinking. This is called skepticism. This is called using facts and evidence and actual logic, the consistency, the A plus B leads to C every time, unless something changes, in which case it's not A and B to C, it's, D and E to F or something. And words have meanings. Just because someone misuses a word meaning and makes it popular to colloquially misuse a word does not mean that the word does not still mean what it means. And so, what I mean... That was funny. Sorry, that's my impression of crazy people doing their Facebook live streams and periscopes and shit. What I mean by this is that the people in this movement are so, turned around on themselves, logically speaking, psychologically speaking. Psychologically. Mental order. These people are so twisted around on themselves that they're not aware of the fact that they're twisted around on themselves. And they have no idea which way they're pointing relative to their moral compasses. So, naturally, they're going to misuse words. This is what I've previously referred to as there are going to be behavioral issues and logical defects based on operating on a false premise. These people believe that words mean other things now. Eventually, it's almost going to be like aphasia in the way that these people are unable to communicate. It's I saw something similar in the previous Ascension protocol. There were some folks that basically they were able to communicate in a limited language that used a lot of symbolic terms, and the idiom was that you had to already understand or you wouldn't understand. Talking about the word phi had several different meanings that they would use. It could mean a golden spiral. It could mean something to do with Fibonacci sequence. Something of a natural harmonic. There was like a million different ways, and so it was the same as, and I've seen it now. I've seen it now as well, currently during the QAnon phenomenon as well. That there are people that communicate almost like AIs. I don't believe that they are actually bots. There are bots, and I've seen bots communicate, and this is very similar. So what you're looking at is collective subconscious, aka groupthink, but on a zombified level. That's why these terms have come about, is that's what's actually kind of happening. There are people that are being manipulated and controlled through psychological means. They don't have to do RCOs. They don't have to remote control anybody, because all they have to do is give them a false premise and a set of instructions, and then periodically keep them on the path. That's what's going on. Back in the Obama version of this, it was the same. There were people that were reduced to speaking in code because they could not speak plain English, because the words they used it was a word salad. They had become psychotic. Turned around on yourself, right? Reality and fantasy. Reality, fantasy. Turned around on yourself. And they keep turning and so round and round. It's like a dizzy bat race with logic. And so when down is up and up is down and front is back and back is front and nothing makes sense anymore, people get confused and agitated. They stick to themselves, and there was a lot of ruined people out of that. It was bad. And that's going to happen out of this as well. I don't think they've learned enough about it to be able to make a clean break or turn it around. I don't think they want to turn it around. There's no way to reverse this madness to get people to be cool with Trump on some level, or at least not to mindlessly hate the guy and not know why. Because most of them still don't actually know why, just because he's fucking Trump. That's not a good enough reason. I don't dislike Jordan Sather because he's Jordan Sather. I dislike Jordan Sather because he is obviously lying to himself and everyone else. And he's getting paid to do it. And anytime you confront with facts, he reacts negatively and tries to get you to go away or leaves. That's how that is. That's the sign of a person who is not sane, who is not believing things that are true. That's delusion. That's psychosis. That's brainwashing. That's how that works. They take these things the brain can do, and they force it on people through methods they've discovered, various types of trauma, certain things that people just love to hear about. Priming is huge. You don't even have to get into NLP. That happens too, but you don't even have to get into that. So, I don't know, I guess a little bit keywords and things. Power on through. You remember that one? So, wow, this thing is going on. This is going to take for freaking ever to upload. I don't know, it's just like the whole thing is madness. I enjoyed what I saw today, but I don't know if it's going to make any difference. I know how badly it ended with the people that most of the folks that were involved in the Obama version of what Q is now doing don't remember that it happened. We'll put it that way. They are not aware that it even happened. An alternate reality that closed itself out with no recollection. But because the way my brain works, that difference that I have, I do remember it. I remember it very clearly. So, it's not that there are alternate realities combining together, it's that there are alternate perception. It's not periods, it's not the right. There were times when people had alternate perceptions that they have compartmentalized in their minds as having not actually happened, or maybe they mistook those things for dreams. And like I said, psychosis, that's the inability to tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Dreams are a kind of fantasy. You can't tell if it was real or a dream, can't tell if you're awake or dreaming on some level. I mean, yeah, reality's weird like that anyway, but that kind of psychosis is instrumental in brainwashing. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. But the events of today were very interesting, and I hope that there is positive change coming. But I think I've got to see some other things go differently than the last time. And as I think of them, I will let you know.